Thank you for tuning in into our special LOHS TV broadcast of Lillian Osborne's Observance of Remembrance Day. As we begin, please rise for our treaty acknowledgement and the playing of O Canada. Lillian Osborne High School acknowledges that we are learning and teaching on Treaty 6 territory, also known as a Mispuchi Wastahigan, a traditional meeting grounds, traveling route, gathering place, and sacred home to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Dene, and Nakota Sioux people, as well as the homeland of the Métis and Papas Chase Nations. Since time immemorial, these groups and individuals have cultivated and established meaningful, significant, and long-lasting relationships with the earth and all its elements. We recognize and acknowledge the true spirit and intent of Treaty 6 and our important role, commitment, and responsibility to bring about and realize the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's 94 calls to action, which are essential to fostering an equitable and fair future for all. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We recognize the land as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on or are visiting. Please be seated. Monday is Remembrance Day in Canada. It marks the end of hostilities in the First World War, at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. In 1918, the armistice, officially concluded 52 months of horrendous conflict, came into effect. Today, we come together to reflect, remember, and honor the sacrifices of all those who served in Canada in times of war, conflict, and peace. We also take this moment on the eve of November 8th, Indigenous Veterans Day, to recognize the contributions of Indigenous veterans who served with unwavering dedication despite the injustices they faced at home.
Across Canada and in many other countries around the world, people gather on November 11th to honor the courage and devotion of brave men and women who made the supreme sacrifice of dying for their country. The hostilities of the First World War ceased on November 11th, 1918 at 11 a.m., the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The following year marked the first observance of a day to remember and honor those who died and to give thanks for the sacrifices of those who came back from serving their country. Since then, Canadian military units have fought in other conflicts. Many have given their lives, and many more have returned with injuries, some that could be seen and many that were unseen. And they did this so that we might enjoy our freedoms today. They all should be remembered. Let us remember the soldiers who have fallen in combat, who made the ultimate sacrifice, their very lives to defend others, human rights, and our freedom. Let us remember the seniors and veterans in our community who fought in wars but returned to us. Their lives were changed forever by their experiences. Let us remember those men and women who traveled and continue to travel overseas to help others during conflict, crisis, or war, helping in rescue missions, delivering supplies, providing medical attention, and more. Indigenous peoples, First Nations, Inuit, and Métis fought courageously in both world wars, the Korean War, and other peacekeeping missions. In the armed forces, they were treated as equals, standing shoulder to shoulder with comrades from all backgrounds. Yet when they returned home, they faced discrimination, broken promises, and exclusion from many of the benefits given to non-Indigenous veterans. Tomorrow, November 8th, marks Indigenous Veterans Day, a time to honor their bravery and sacrifice. Today, we acknowledge their contributions, not just as warriors, but as keepers of peace and protectors of the land. Let us carry their legacy forward by learning from the past and working toward a more just future, where every person's service is respected and remembered equally. When I think of Remembrance Day, I think of my grandparents who immigrated from the Netherlands after the Second World War. They chose to come to Canada because of their experience with the Canadian soldiers who liberated them from Nazi occupation at the end of the war. Those soldiers had an impact that they could never have guessed and did something greater than they ever set out to do. I am forever grateful for the sense of peace they offered my family. Lest we forget is a phrase that not only calls us to remember our veterans for their sacrifice, it calls us to avoid repeating history's tragedies. Today, this message takes on greater meaning as the world navigates increased tensions and hostilities. Please think about the privileged lives we live in Canada and why it is important to find time to remember those who had the courage to fight for us and the very freedoms we cherish. As you go throughout your day on Remembrance Day on Monday, remember that this is a time when we offer our gratitude and thanks. We also recommit to justice, peace, and understanding in the hopes that none will be called to make the sacrifice again. We will not forget. Next, Flight Sergeant Ethan Hu will recite the Act of Remembrance.
Thank you, Mr. MacCollum. I will be reciting the Act of Remembrance. I would like to invite all of you to respond at the end with, "We will remember them." Days shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Please join me in a moment of silence to honor all veterans, including those from Indigenous communities, for their sacrifices to protect the freedoms we cherish. Before our moment of silence, we will play the last post, which signifies the end of the daily activities or the soldier has gone to his final rest. As this piece is played, please rise and remain standing until the moment of silence is broken, with the playing of the wreaths.
Thank you. I will be reciting the commitment to remember. Please respond at the end with, "We will remember them." They were young as we are young. They served, giving freely of themselves. To them we pledge, amid the winds of time, to carry their torch and to never forget. We will remember them.
We will remember them.
At this point, we would like to ask Heidi and Sergeant Hashisho to place the wreaths. They represent the students of Lillian Osborne, remembering both Canadian and Indigenous veterans. Thank you for your attention to our Remembrance Day's observance. This brings an end to our observance. If you would like to attend a Remembrance Day service on November 11th, there are several options that will be provided at the end of this broadcast. For Victor, Ethan, Kareem, Heidi, and Mr. MacCollum, I'm Muen Li, and thank you for participating in our Remembrance Day observance.